So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. God, it feels like it's been a while, Alex, since we were last here.
Yeah, very much, yeah.
Time passes. We have got the Northern Territory wearing the very natty shirts. I like them. I don't mind them at all. Black and orange and a bit of white on them. And the Melbourne Barbarians, Victorian Country Barbarians, sorry. Should get that right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologise. I don't have team sheets for either one of these teams at the moment, so there's going to be a lot of he passes to him going on, but we'll get through it, I reckon. So the Barbarians wearing the traditional Barbarians colours. Have they just changed it a little bit and gone with the Victorian blue?
Yeah, just a touch. I see a little bit of navy there, or a lighter navy.
They've gone with the. Have they gone with the club socks? I do like that about the Barbarians wearing the club socks. I
always like to see each player what club socks they wear, because obviously you've got your junior club, and then some people will wear their senior club's socks. But it's always good matching the sock to the club.
So we are about ready to go in this second one. The Barbarians will kick us off a high hanging kick. Northern Territory dealt with that very, very well though. And the Territory will have the first shot at it. Nice short line. Now, that is a big strong handoff. I do think there is somebody we will know out there wearing the shirt of the Northern Territory. That one will go over the top, and there is one of them. That is Smoking Joe, I think. Eyes aren't good in this line. Is that Joe? Over on that far wing, he's built like Joe. And the number 13 is definitely a ballet. Is that a ballet? It's not a ballet, is it? Either. My eyes have gone. I need an eye test, Buller. But apparently, Ballet, who played for Brighton in the grand final and was the Premier in 2018, will be pulling on a Northern Territory shirt at some point. So the Victorians, they will go out, and the Barbarians will just exit out.
They're obviously playing a lot of their rugby this season in Darwin. You know, they're probably more likely to play for Northern Territory. Unfortunate for us that they didn't get the call up, but only playing a handful of games, you think they'd probably play for Northern Territory.
Good solid contact in midfield again. This is going to be an interesting one. Northern Territory, as we've said, a developing state. Victoria certainly, on paper, would be the favourites on this one. Another big contact. Nice offload, though. The Territory have looked good so far. Near side. Might have numbers. That one just didn't go to hand, and it's going to come around the back. Victoria shakes out the first tackle. Can't get away from the second one. Again, they're just happy to try and move away. Be interesting to see the differences between how Victoria plays and how the first game we saw and how these teams go. I've already seen that Victoria quite happy to use an exit plan and just kick it away, and that time they moved the point of the attack. I think if there was one criticism of the earlier game, it would be it was a little bit one out from both sides.
Very much so. It's really hard to gauge it early on because you come on fresh to start the game, and you're going to give 15, 20 minutes of really solid rugby. But it's that space between 20th to half time where good teams really keep going, and then obviously into the second half as well. But yeah, Northern Territory and Melbourne really shift the point of attack really quite well, and a lot of movement off the ball.
So first scrum of the game, and the Barbarians will have it. Again, they will go back. Just kind of poked it forward. Northern Territory will have another bite at the cherry into midfield. Stepped and straightened. Victoria just trying to hold every single contact where the Territory go in high. They try and hold it up. Inside ball. Good yardage again. Off they run again. What big contact in midfield, and that's lost. Can the Barbarians counter-attack from here? Are they happy to play a territory game? Out the back. Just stood up the fly half a little bit. You'd think the arm would go out there, but nothing doing. And again, happy to put it on the boot, and Northern Territory are going to have another go. Repeat pressure from the Northern Territory. Good feet. Can't get away from the tackle, though. Well, he tried to get back onto his feet. But they get the penalty for sealing off. And they're going to look for a line out early doors. So, said that Victoria would probably be the favourites on paper, but they would know that they'd be the favourites going in paper. How much pressure does that put on them?
Oh, certainly a fair bit, but it's hard for teams that don't really play each other a lot. You don't really know what you're going to get from the opposition, so you just really got to worry about your own game a fair amount, and just worry about getting your structure, your defence right.
Territory go to the back, comes off the top, bouncing ball, but he does manage to corral it. Then they will go into midfield. Little in and out. Support comes. Pick and drive is not a bad one. He nearly manages to find his way through. Another little pick and drive. Now there is space out left. Managed to work the way into an overlap on the left, but just lost it forward right at the death.
I think that's what's letting down Northern Territory the most at the moment. They're making really good ground, and then it's just coming to that point where they're just getting their handling errors wrong.
It's only been 5 minutes gone, but we have not seen Victoria get into the Northern Territory half so far. Right from that first kickoff, where the first contestable was won, and won well by the Northern Territory.
Very much so. Victoria yet to get in Northern Territory's half.
Just haven't managed to put any passages of play together. So in a split the scrum right in midfield. Victoria have split it. There is someone back in the pocket, but it's a really awful place for that scrum because the posts are in the way. See what Victoria do from here. Well, the Territory put a little bit of a shove on, try and walk it around, make it even harder for the halfback. Kind of collapsed. I think Victoria have got it. Tassie, sorry. It's always going to happen on the second game of the day. The Northern Territory almost turned it over, but another little knock on. That's an impressive scrum from the boys from up north. Massive amount of work being done north of the border for developing rugby. So Victoria will have another scrum, again in the shadows of their own post, almost right at the back feet of the number 8 is that post. Whistle. Seem to have lost our referee, Mike. We'll do everything we can to try and decipher what the signals are. So another scrum. And Territory have put Victoria under a fair amount of pressure in the first couple of scrums we've seen, and again they've managed to just drive that up. So Victoria, no option but to try and clear the lines, and they get just outside the 22. Territory looking to bounce back again. Good defensive line speed, but good offload. Just about got him inside the 22. The Territory will launch another attack. Straight and hard again. Now they come out left. It didn't go to hand, but it's going to find its way. They do have an overlap. Oh, it's hit his head. Penalty. Offside. It is not. It wouldn't be the start that the Victorians want, would it?
No, they've been camped down in their 22 for pretty much the whole game.
Do we take your points? No, they're going to go for the line out. They want it all. They want the big biscuits. There'll be another Northern Territory set piece on the shadow of the Victorian Barbarians goal line. This is not going to script just yet, is it? Into four and off the top. Then they will look at midfield, a little bit behind him, but good change of direction and pace. Again, they will fight forward, and again, they are very, very close and edging closer. Got to be patient and wait. Now they're going to go 3-on-3 out here. Go on, again, it just doesn't go to hand for oh, I think they would have wanted the two knock-ons. I thought they would have wanted the advantage. But it's going to be a victorious scrum. And again, the Territorians are going to want to put pressure on it.
Another handling error there from Northern Territory. I don't know if the ball's wet or they're just getting eyes up at the line.
The temperature has dropped a little bit, but it's not terrible. Doesn't look overly dewy. Oh, and again the Territory working very, very hard. It's come out. Another kick. It's going to bounce and find its way into the arms of this number 14, who's got a lot of work gone through a lot of work in this first half. Hard and straight from the fullback. Good counter ruck from Victoria though, and they might have turned it over. They have turned it over. Can they go from here? Almost stepped himself out there. Little in and out again. Good challenge and tackle over there. First time we get to see Victoria with the ball. Well, the Territory just making an absolute mess of the first real breakdown. They've come to play.
Very much so. Really quick footy, but in saying that, it's just the handling errors that are letting them down early.
Well, they've given them a very generous 10. But the lineup will go. First chance to see the Victorian lineup. Looks like a 4-ball and off the top again. Good defensive line speed from the Territory, but you've got to make your tackles. Eventually they do, and again they just make a mess of the first breakdown. Into the left-hand side, short ball. Arm is out for another penalty. So just those little skill errors and those little disciplinary things are costing the Territory so far.
Very much so. Just a few creases there they need to iron out. But I think they've got the potential to play really good footy. But in saying that, it's still early days and they shake off those cobwebs. I think they'll be pretty dominant.
So penalty bang on midfield. Victorians are going to look to kick to touch. See whether they're better when they're not under pressure. Just comes off the side of the boot a bit, but it does make its way to touch at least. Just under pressure, they haven't really managed to clear their lines very, very well. So the Victorians with the line out inside the Northern Territory half. And they've lost it. Now the Territory will go. There's your space. How's the chase? Is it going to hold up? Where's it going to end up? It's going to hold up in goal. And they'll get a 22 out of it. Finally, someone has listened to Alex Rockaborough.
I'll go down and shake that guy's hand after the game. Lucky for the ball to hold up there, especially at Brighton. They're known for running dead, shorter in goal, really short grass. That ball's going to roll.
I did have a wander around before the South Australia game. It's a bit sandy underfoot, but as per usual with the South Australian pitch, it's hard and bouncy. Driven kick to around the 10-metre line, and the territory will launch again. Oof, that's a lot of humour to land on top of you. Another messy ruck, but the territory are going to work on it. And then we'll look down that far side, and they nearly got a little bit of love down there, but the assistance flag will go up. Time off for change already. Just trying to see which way that change goes, to be honest. I'm not... Can't quite see. So Victoria will be able to try and come away, and again, massive defence from the territory. And they've turned it over again. Turnover ball has been an absolute goldmine for the territory. He gets away. He will hand it off. Territory will break the duck. Northern Territory will go 5 points to 0 up, scoring down in this near side. The outside centre for the Northern Territory getting the first points of the game, and well deserved, Alex.
Very much so. They've kept peppering them. They've had a few mistakes which really kept them out, but it's good shift of the ball and good finish.
It's not a bad finish, and it's been relentless from the Northern Territory. What are we, 15 minutes gone, nearly 16 minutes gone, and just, it's all been that way. I don't think we've looked to our right at any point at time.
No, not one bit.
I mean, other than the kickoff, like that's been it. It's been a very impressive start to this game by the Northern Territory, and they will lead this one 5 points to 0 with the kick to come.
I think what Victoria is finding really tough is obviously they're not clearing their lines with the kicks very well. So if you're not getting a lot of metres from your kick, Northern Territory they're not going to have as long to get back to that gain line. So they're just catching the footy, just heading straight back and making Victoria camp down in their 22.
Very flat ball placement on this kick. Almost like Malmaninga.
Bit of right to left bend here, I'm thinking.
Staying at the old Jonathan Thurston. Well, it was never coming back from there. I think even Thurston would have missed that.
All right, no left there.
Yep. So the Northern Territory leading this one 5 points to 0. The Mosquitoes.
The Mosquitoes, yeah.
I'd imagine that Mosquitoes are a little bit of a pain in the backside up at Darwin.
Yeah, at the moment the Victoria's pain in the backside. So.
Well, yeah. And to be honest, it's been that way. They've just been annoying. The Victorians haven't been able to settle on anything. Anytime there's been a breakdown, the Victorians have managed to just make enough of a mess of it. Well, that's a big challenge in midfield. Something else that they've done very, very well is everything they've done has been at very, very high pace. And they haven't really let the fact that they've had handling errors and little bits of disciplinary problems, it hasn't fazed them. Kick through, bounces off the Northern Territory hand, so it'll be a knock on. Plenty of time to go in this one though.
Yeah, very much so. So, Victoria working their way into Northern Territory's half here. Hopefully they've got a good platform here. Hopefully the scrum goes well. They get a good backline move and see what they got.
Well, we haven't seen much from them as yet. And that's quite possibly been down to how well the Northern Territory has defended. Another reset scrum. With that being said, again, though, Victoria really haven't won the battle of the scrum so far either. That one will go to the back, and again the Territory just stand up that Victorian scrum. And they have turned it over again. Set piece they're winning, broken play they're winning, turnover they're winning. All of the big ticks. What's the opposite to a coach killer? Coach cuddler?
Coach cuddler. Seen a lot of coach cuddlers in my time. Opposite to coach killer.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. Are you interested in the football score at all? Not going the way you would think. Collingwood are leading. I'll leave it at that. So Northern Territory scrum. Inside their own half, but everything they've done at pace. And I think that's been a big thing. And you did talk about it between the two games in the very, very brief time we had in the between the two games, that you expected that these two teams would go at a higher pace. And the Territory certainly are leading by example on that.
Very much so. Northern Territory, just from seeing it from clips and stuff, they play a really quick brand of rugby. It's a lot warmer up there, obviously, so they're going to use their bench a bit more. So they're going to be smarter with substitutions and whatnot. But so far they've played really quick. I think the other game, handling errors were a lot less than what we're seeing now. Mm-hmm. But also, you're seeing a lot more accuracy at the line-out time.
So the referee's having a chat. Unfortunately, we have lost the referee comms, so we can't get it. I think that might be a reason. We're missing a thing. Well, so we had a long chat with them. We can only assume that they were talking about, where the places to go for tourism in South Australia.
Well, they're both from out of town, so I think if you're going to go anywhere, you'll probably go to the Woolshed.
Probably the Woolshed. Then ride the mechanical bull.
Got to pay homage to one of Australia's great establishments.
So the Territory will win the scrum and win it easily then, just making all sorts of issues for that front row. That's a very, very good kick if it takes a bounce, which it does. So they're going to test the Victorian defensive line-up.
I think they're doing quite well, Northern Territory, try and break the Victorian spirit here. Just keep plugging them back into their 22, making them have to come out with a line-out, short kick, and then play back in there. Pretty smart footy.
Very, very smart football, and we both talked about the kicking game, and this time we're seeing it employed very, very well by the NT. Another back ball, this time off the top. Now we see the Victorians with ball in hand. Massive collision. Neither of them wanted to use any arms in that one. Another big collision. And the Northern Territory get their line speed right. They are making tackles in the backfield, behind the gain line. Into midfield again, and again, Victoria just not getting the go forward they would want. That's a big challenge as well in midfield. Good contact. And a handling error, but they had the advantage for offside. Another lineup. I think we might have solved our ref issues. Hey, there he is. We got him. Back ball. Wonder whether that's straight. Darwin will turn it over and a kick, early kick. But Victoria have got it, and that will just go back. A little bit of aerial ping pong. Now Darwin will go onto the fullback. He will go out to the winger. He's one-on-one. What can he do? He will shake out the first one. Can he beat the final defender? Yes, he can. Covering tackle comes across. It's not enough. And the Northern Territory will get 2 tries up. There is a sting in the tail. Mosquitoes don't sting, do they? That's a terrible mixed analogy.
No, I don't think they sting.
The Northern Territory have got bite.
Bite, a lot of
there
bite
we
there.
Go. So we found our referee. Apologies for that. It is an absolutely fantastic try. And he's run through a couple of titles, and then that last step is fantastic as well from him.
Yeah, the halfback quite a few times he came.
Really good work from the 15 there to take the space and get back to gain line, and then shift the ball, and then just some individually great footwork from the winger.
We saw 2 examples of kicks on turnover. One dealt with well, one dealt with not
Very
as
much
well.
If you're going to kick, you've got to kick with purpose. Also, if you're kicking with purpose, you've got to execute the kick as well, and that's easier said than done.
So the people of the Northern Territory who are watching us on Facebook, brought to you by Rugby Union South Australia and powered by Spacequake Sports. That's my first mistake of the year, I think, with the old Spacequake. He's gone the opposite side on that one.
If they keep attacking like this, he'll probably get a few more attempts at goal. So,
yeah, look. Normally, we said we'd expect the Victorians to be the better side, but they've certainly not looked the better side in the opening, 25 minutes, and Territory are well deserving of their 10-point lead. That's not a bad pass, it just didn't go to hand. Managing to sort it out though. Another kick, find the Seagulls, and it will bound away into touch. We are both very, very impressed with the start to this game by the Northern Territory.
very much so. You receive your kick off, you play in midfield, and just being able to kick and put Victoria back under pressure, 10 metres outside their 22.
So we've got a couple of people saying good work, Watson. So we think this winger on the near side might be a Watson.
Watson, definitely. Look forward to seeing him play at Brighton next year.
Certainly elementary, the work that he's going through. I wonder whether the Brighton recruiters are watching these players.
Oh, most definitely. You'd have to. It's a great spectacle of rugby.
I think most head coaches from around South Australia will be watching these games and see whether there's any of them they could tempt to the festival state.
It's his own player. Play on. Knock on.
Knock on by Victoria. I'm gonna go with the analogy again. The mosquitoes. It's almost like you're lying in bed. You know those nights when you're lying in bed and you just can't. You want to be comfortable. You want to be settled and you can't because there's just that buzzing mosquito. That's how it's been all night. Anytime they've tried to settle into any sort of rhythm, there's been somebody in an orange shirt just being annoying.
I think it's really hard, especially for Victoria, because they're getting to the breakdowns. If you don't clear that ball, within the first couple of seconds, they're going to throw numbers in there, and like you say, they're going to keep biting at you, until you turn the ball over.
So another Northern Territory scrum. They've been absolutely dominant in the scrum in the first half. Their set piece has been very, very good. Staying at West Beach, the caravan park down at West Beach, the new home of rugby union in South Australia.
I think it's going to be pumping down there tonight. You've got, I think both NRC teams are down there.
That bouncy pillow is going to get one heck of a workout. Speechless.
Yeah, actually I remember, the bouncy pillow wasn't allowed on it, being 28, but...
I've got a feeling as well the temperature of that pool won't be a terrible recovery pool tomorrow.
Use it. Use it.
Use it called. Short ball, good short ball. Manages to get through, looks for the offload and finds the offload. And again, the territory starting to raid.
No hands, no hands.
Doing very well at breaking the game line and getting there with support. Little snipe, he will go. Third try of the night. And the Northern Territory will push out to a 15-point lead. A well-deserved 15-point lead. And they come from everywhere to celebrate with the little halfback. So there'll be an inquisition by the Barbarians under the post.
So use it straight away.
Yeah. So we're going forward.
No, it had moved and then players were coming off.
Yep.
So the scrum was over.
Okay.
Yep.
So.
Anyway.
So you think this would be so Rhino, I think. Someone says nice Rhino, so I think we've got the halfback is called Rhino and we've got a winger called Watson. We have two names.
Keep sending him in.
So the fullback will knock over the extras for the first time tonight. 17 points to 0. Half an hour gone. So the Victorians look a little bit shell-shocked as they walk back. There was a fairly large inquisition underneath the post as they tried to work out what's hit them. Sivo is number 13. We're getting there. We've got 3 of them. Victorians just aren't allowed any time to settle on anything, are they?
On the ball. Pass the ball, gotta come up.
So a penalty to the Victoria and they can try and get there. Over the head to the Victoria, we'll have a line out on or around the 22-metre line of the Northern Territory. Oh, someone sent us through a list of names. I can't, it's not a link, unfortunately, Peter Pauly. Thank you very much for that, but I can't get to it.
Playing for the ball, guys.
Just waiting for the ball, so the time will go off. We are playing injury time on these ones, so
Come back on.
just so you know, our clock will run and then go into red time. And there is a timekeeper. It's been a while since we've had this level of rugby played in South Australia, and Northern Territory very nearly came away with another one. Just couldn't wrangle it in.
No, very much so. It's great to have these emerging states down here to have a good spectacle of rugby. So far, it's been really good.
And I can just hear as well, and apologies if any language comes through, but you can just hear the Victorians talking about that scrum and hold your ground, hold your ground. They're under pressure in every single set piece now.
Very much so. It could be attacking set piece or defending set piece. The Northern Territory are really all over them at the minute, and it's going to get to a point where they're just going to break, I think.
Again, that front row is just driven up. I know you're not supposed to drive up, and I don't think they are. I just think the pressure is just forcing them up.
Try again. You have to knock it out. Let's get on this side here. Seconds! Yeah.
So another scrum. Still a Victoria ball.
Bind! Set!
Again, that Victorian front row under a huge amount of pressure, but they do come away with it. Little show, and then a knock on. Play to the whistle. And it's a good job the Victorians did play for the whistle, because we've seen how well this Northern Territory side can counter-attack. So they will have a scrum bang in the middle of the field. In just inside the 22, I think. The lights are difficult to see under these lights.
6. Heaps of time.
Oh, there we go. At least we got the backs.
Victoria here, really hard to get your D alignment in the back three, because obviously they can play and they can also kick. So do you sort of hedge your bets and sit 50-50 out of the D line, or do you just get everyone up and hope for the best?
I mean, they've got options, haven't they? And they've split, and there is space everywhere. Victoria have done one, they've nicked one, and they've turned it over. First time that we've seen Victoria within striking distance of the Mosquitoes line. Now they will look out to the right-hand side. Again, the counter ruck from Northern Territory. Very, very good, and they'll get the scrum. I tell you what, if you are side in the Northern Territory right now, send us the names of this front row, because this forward pack has been absolutely outstanding, and they deserve a shout-out.
Very much so. We probably prefer nicknames.
I'm happy with nicknames. We'll go with anything. We've got a back line of Ryan, Robbie. Where are we? Ryan, Robbie, Rappo, Drew, Sivo, Watson, and Zach. That's what we love. But someone's got to give us the big boys, because they've been incredibly impressive all day. Solid scrum. Just a clearance. Good clearance. Great clearance into the basketball court. So, the Northern Territory front row, Rutherford, Phillips, and Whitty. They have been immense all night. Number 4, Wise. Number 5, Ben Parks.
Knock on. Play advantage. Advantage over.
So if you are a Victorian, you can give us your team. Then challenge has been laid down by the Territorians. We've got a full 15. So Robbie will find some space. That's a good kick. It's just taken a left-hand turn to that touchline. How good's the chase? Chase is good enough. And it will be a Northern Territory line-out. So the Northern Territory slow to get into the line-up.
Move.
Would have been no issue with numbers, the amount of time it took them to get in there. Four ball, not very pretty, but it gets there eventually, just shipped on. Then they will try and settle, and Robbie will work his way into midfield. Again, the Territory just probing down this near side, just waiting for the numbers to appear out on that right-hand side. They may be there now, but they've turned it over. Takes his own player. Inside ball, there's a little bit of space. Tackle comes and is good. Very nearly half time. Couple of stoppages, but not many, on a massive contact.
Wait. We're good. Yep.
Another little snipe. Penalty. Isolation. Turnover or penalty. It's either one of the two. Got to take the lesser of two evils at some point. Oh, they're my favourite words in the world. Take the points. 17 points to 0. Getting close to half time. Oh, he's going for the big biscuits again.
Mosquito smelling blood.
Oh, I like it. So we've got, there we go, look. We have got the subs for Darwin and the Northern Territory. Number 23, Abele. South Australian, born and bred.
Thank you.
I think I played under 12s with him.
Sweet right there, yep.
We love Abele. Good
Great
lineup.
player.
I mean, oh, that is just straight and true. And they will get the big biscuits. There you get a number of the try scorer. Just a straight line.
Big bounding run there. Couldn't get him around the legs.
And they've done. And you know what? From what we know, of Abele, that's a warning sign for Victoria.
Yeah.
If you think you're having a tough day at the office now,
Yeah. I'll tell you what, there'll be some Burnside boys in the Black Falcons having flashbacks to Onkaparinga a couple of weeks ago.
About a minute. Oh, yeah, yeah.
just asking a little bit of time. That one is knocked over comfortably by Zach. Hirini, number 8. Hirini Murphy, the try scorer.
About 30.
Said about 30, so that might be about 30 seconds to half time.
Fit another 2 in.
Just keep going. I don't think the Northern Territory will want it to end. Another deep kick, unpressured. Breaks out of the first tackle finally. They bring him to ground just out inside the 10. Oh, offload goes to ground, no advantage. It's going to let the Victorians have a go at it. Can they find anything? Heard his alarm go, this will be it, I think. Another little pick and drive to the left-hand side. Came off the long run and had to stop at the end of it. Penalty Northern Territory. They can have the line out if they want it. You want to put the foot on the throat, you would think, wouldn't you? And I would say this 40 minutes of rugby, plus bits, has put an absolute marker down for the rest of this competition.
I think in this last 40, Northern Territory really set the bar. It's unfortunate we haven't really been able to see a lot of attacking stuff from Victoria because they just keep losing it in the breakdowns. And then Northern Territory just keep punishing him, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it just looks like Northern Territory are really enjoying their rugby at the moment. They don't want half time to come just yet.
Well, there is an advantage for numbers. I think that's just a free kick. Oh, nice big run from Murphy again. Then he will just put the foot down in the territory. Oh, roaming forward again. Said the S word in the first game. Their structure has been very, very good. Now they will come out the back. They have got numbers. How's the kick? How's the chase? How's the bounce? It's all good. And the Northern Territory will get another point. Another meat pie in the shadow of half-time. The Northern Territory blowing out the Victorian Barbarians at this point. Well, that will take us to half-time. The kick will take us to half-time. Alex, your thoughts on the first half?
It's been some great footy from Northern Territory. Sorry, you just caught me off guard there. They had early on they had the momentum, but they quite weren't tight enough. They were losing the ball forward, but now it's just clicking for them, and it's clicking for them in the right time. And Victoria just can't get a look in, unfortunately.
I mean, we don't have the luxury of having a statistician with us, but I mean, that possession percentage would be way over in the orange side, you would think, and the old navy blue would be struggling a little bit, you think, tonight. I don't know whether I'm being unfair on the Northern Territory. It's been a while since I've seen any Northern Territory rugby in anger, but my word, have they been impressive.
Oh, they're in pretty good nick. And if you were Tasmania or the Black Falcons, you'd be wondering how you're going to play these guys, because at the moment, their field position's great. They can kick, they can run, they can really pepper that breakdown in defence. So you know, how do you play them? I think there'll be a few people staying up tonight watching this game and thinking how, you know, in the next couple of days, how we're going to front up and play these blokes. But you know, they're human.
overextending.
So this one? Or
The other fellow.
oh, the number 3.
Yeah,
at
three.
the start.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was overextending, but the other fellow wasn't taking.
Welcome
his-
back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I was
reckon he's got the
enthralled
strength
in the
to hold, but
conversation
that's why
between the
we're having
referee and
issues. Yeah.
I think it's the Northern Territory captain. They're just talking about the scrum. And, I mean, award dominance is a word you hear a lot when it comes to referees.
Dominant.
Award dominance.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much so. If you've got the go forward and you've got the good height, any team that's going to be lazy and that's not going to show good body height, you're going to get pinged.
I'd hate to see them be penalised out of it. Big deep kick and the big fella will get going. Outside the 22.
16, sorry.
I would think that the Victorian coaches will have got in at half time and gone, can we stop kicking it to their back three, please? And they obviously didn't listen. So Watson, who's stayed camera side. Good challenge though. Smart winger, stay camera side. And Territory will look to build again. Suspicion of offside. Good hands. Now they're going to go again. Looks for the chip. How's the bounce? Into touch. Nicover with the kick and chase, didn't quite get there. So Victoria with a line out outside the 22. Come off the top. Good line speed again from the Territory. And managed to get an offload. Will we see a different Victorian side in the second half, you think?
I really hope so for their benefit, but it's tough. It's tough. You know, Northern Territory are already rocked up to rip in for the second half, and if you can't clear your line with your kicks, they're going to be right up in your grill all game.
I'm just looking away to the left though at what's happening. They're playing almost with a back two, but they're always ready for the kick over from Victoria. Takes away an option. You've spent less time gesticulating for a kick from Victoria, and I think that's the Northern Territory have defended very, very well. There aren't numbers to burn out to the near side though for Victoria if they want to go, and if they can go. The line speed kind of cut that off. Too fast though. Now there is space. That's gone forward out of the hands. Well, I think it's going to be let go, and Victoria will bite back first thing
Great try.
in the half. No communication as yet. That looked a mile forward from my angle. Hard to tell from where we are though.
That's a tough one. You could blame it on the sea breeze, but I don't think it's kicked up yet.
It would have been one heck of a sea breeze. We would have had to name that sea breeze.
Oh. We wouldn't be standing up here if it was that strong.
No, I don't think so. As we have a look. So see whether there's a line we can use. Oh, jeez. So yes. we'll let the pictures do the talking.
No, at the back of the rocks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just get out and go.
Yep. There's certainly one that Baker Mayfield would have been proud of this morning.
Yeah, tough one, but at the same time they managed to break the line off of that ruck in their halfway and really get some go forward. You know, they got a good bounce obviously with that pass not getting called forward, but they still had to finish it as well. So could be a late revival here from Victoria.
Kick on the way and flags go up, so 31 points to 7, and very, very early in the second half, so Victoria will look to come back. Yeah, I think what happened was they realised that there was the overlap here, and they tried to shut down that overlap, and in rushing, if you're going to rush and you're going to compact, got to make sure you make your tackles.
I think what you see there is, if you look at the replay, two guys bite in on that one ball player, opening up that spot for him to go through.
That rush and compact, you've got to trust that people are going to make one-on-one tackles. Great restart, high hanging restart, great contestable. Play on.
7 holds.
Now they will go into midfield. Just fallen off a little bit of a tackle. Now we're starting to see the Victorians rumble and over to halfway.
No, not strong.
Some of the better phase play that we've seen from the man from Victoria. Again, they've got numbers. Again, they rush, and he's nearly broken through again. Does get the offload, and that one, ironically, is called forward. So Northern Territory scrum, bang in midfield. Huge blindside for him to use.
Big scrum, big scrum.
They've come an interesting way, but they have stacked it.
Seconds in.
Oh, you can choose which side you put in the scrum now, can't you? So,
Yeah.
so you can almost choose now. Let's see whether we can see any fun and games from the back of this scrum. Again, the Territory very, very strong.
Now use it.
Flat ball and then around the back. They have got the 2-on-1. Turned him around. Did very well. Hands off his own player. Then runs through a tackle. Excellent work from the number 10.
Lining outside, out wide here for Northern Territory.
Lazy runners out in the midfield as well from Victoria. They should have numbers if they can move it quickly. They are moving it quickly. Came out and the Victorians will get away with it, but they were offside, I think. I don't think I've ever seen a don't argue on a teammate.
Roll.
Very interesting. You also did a don't argue on a bloke running backwards.
It did square in the back, I don't argue.
Scrum. Scrum, gentlemen.
Second shove.
So they're taking a scrum.
Hold it in.
That's when you know your scrum's dominant.
Very much so. I think they want to push it straight to the backs here and a bit more razzle-dazzle from them, because that starter move from the midfield scrum worked out a treat for them.
Okay.
It worked out very,
He was
very
able
well.
to slide the ball back with a quick play the ball opportunity. That's why I was handling.
I think Victoria really want to try and slow down the breakdowns.
I'm looking at Watson out the back here from the 15.
That's something that Brighton do very well, is bringing in the blindside winger. Let's see whether Northern Territory have got anything. In fact, most teams do it very well. Old Collegians, you use Kyle Fleetwood Piper off the blindside wing a fair bit.
Works out really well. If you look at that setup, he sort of tucks right in behind the 10, but he can also show just outside of the 12 there.
So it looks like Robbie has gone to fullback and Zach has gone to 10. Nice to see that they can swap and change and make some changes.
Now we're going to move it again, sir.
Just looking over to the Victorian Country bench, and it looks fairly light on.
Bind. Set.
Interesting setup here.
Wait.
Little triangle.
Use it.
They will go at the back to 14. What can he do? He'll just loop it all the way. Can he finish? Decides to come back inside. Looks for power.
Roll wide.
Arm out, and that is it's a cynical area. He just spoken about slowing it down. Waiting for a signal.
Hold there, guys. Just wait.
We're just going to have a look at it. He's definitely over the line. Has he got it down?
Happy, buddy? Yeah, cheers. Thanks, mate.
Clear grounding, try time. So the Victorians came out and they got the early try, and Northern Territory have come and struck right back. I know he had a chat with the captain down here about slowing the ball down, and then there's another one there, and I think if the Northern Territory hadn't wanted to go quickly, somebody might have spent some time sitting in the book in the naughty chair.
Very much so, and I think they might have another chat with him again soon when they're back down there.
There's still people down as well. We'll just see whether we can find a grounding ourselves. It's definitely over the line, and doesn't look like there's anybody underneath him. Good try.
You're right, or don't worry about the water for me. You just made yourself very cold.
So there is a change over Victoria. It doesn't look like a gigantic bench, though. I think they can only see 3 on it. Maybe they got stuck in traffic coming across. So he's decided to go headgear on, see whether that helps him out from distance. Sends it on its way. Flag stay down. So as quickly as Victoria looked like they were going to get something back in the game, and maybe somewhat fortunately, I think it was pretty close to a forward pass. The Northern Territory just business as usual. Normal service resumed for them. Big strong carry back towards that 10-metre line. Just no good for him, and Victoria will look to be able to counter-attack.
If you can fault anything about Northern Territory tonight, I think you'd have to say handling errors are a big thing they probably need to tighten up a little on.
Well, I don't know how long ago. You said you watched the highlights of their grand final. How long ago was that?
Long enough for a couple of the blokes to come down and qualify for grand final.
Yeah, well, I think they were playing rugby league, weren't they? But if that's the case, we're looking at sort of
5 weeks.
10, 12 weeks without rugby. 5, 7, about 10 weeks without rugby, maybe. At least 8.
Definitely, but they're looking pretty good, Nick. They look like they've just finished the season last week.
Just a little bit rusty, though, I think. And by Sunday, they should be firing on all cylinders, and that one is just mucky. Down at the shins, but he did manage to pick it up and met very, very strongly and made maybe half a yard. We go out to that far side. Shakes out of the first tackle, but again, they've not really made any yardage, and the Northern Territory have turned it over. Now he's going to try and find some space. What a box kick, just didn't come off as he wanted it to, but it might work because it confused everybody. His legs in half, that's not a good word, it's not a good description. I don't know how bad that one is.
He was still hanging around. No, it's a different player. He'd moved away, but the tackle has got a release. Didn't say
So, if it is as bad as the description was, we could be here a while.
I felt that the player coming over the ball had fair rights to it. So.
We don't have a stretch on, we do have the final board.
Okay, so panic over.
Yeah, okay. So
we have a spinal board, but he's probably not going to be walking off.
There was no players from your team in that area. He had rights to the ball in that situation. Yeah.
He hasn't moved, and he went down and hasn't moved at all.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but in that situation, that turnover was fine.
The stretcher is going to come.
I'm the team physio, so.
Oh, he's a trained physio as well, the captain. So, but it's nice to see his priorities. I'm going to talk with the referee about the penalties in the game, and then I'm going to check my mate with the broken leg.
First things first, you know.
Mate, how about your pay? Tell me.
They're not that bad. I'm confused with the description of what's going on compared to his reaction, because I think if I'd snapped my leg in half, I don't think I'd be sat there having a conversation. They breed these rugby players tough, though.
You still got running time? Perfect.
I think they might be going to running time. They are stabilising that left leg of his, which does not look overly healthy. In fairness.
Happy? All good? Starting to cool now. Yeah.
Certainly doesn't look as stable as a tibia should.
The ball there should be the mark. Beauty, thank you.
Well, that's a fair amount of human that they're going to try and get off on that spinal board.
I think you want a couple of blokes around that one.
Yep. Certainly not those two are going to be able to help it. They need to get a crew, you would think. But they're now bringing the medical bag out. Depending on how bad it is, you wouldn't want to move him a million miles either, would you? Please don't drop him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tasmania's going to get out of control soon.
All right.
I'm doing this because people.
Well, he's dealt with it better than I would. I will give him that. And if anyone knows the number 4 from Melbourne, we'd
No, I just
love
saw
a name for him.
the leg. With the angle of the bone.
Oh, there we go. It's not safe for work at the moment.
Shouldn't bend that way. How much time do we have?
Getting wonderful descriptive. Almost give him co-commentary credits.
Yeah,
Referee.
it's really unfortunate to have an injury like that, especially the way the game was going, and yeah, wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, but he'll get the best care. The local hospitals.
Yeah, we've just opened up a new facility.
We've got a brand
here,
new Royal Adelaide.
Yeah. No ramping.
I don't.
You want to get more green?
I don't think so.
Sorry.
There is a doctor here as well. The gentleman in the black hoodie on the right-hand side is. He's going to Fraser Vivian, that's his name, from the Barossa Rams. Still plays. He'll probably having a run around tomorrow. That was the thing we were going to talk about. What was going on for the rest of the week?
Yeah, exciting weekend.
There's a junior carnival tomorrow from 9 a.m. At Southern Suburbs Rugby Club. That then, of course, is followed up by the NRC, where the Melbourne Rising, Rebels Rising, Melbourne Rising?
Melbourne Rising.
Melbourne Rising. It's cold. It's windy up here. The Melbourne Rising will take on Queensland Country, which of course will include Quade Cooper.
Yeah.
So, if you're inside Australia, you want to see a former Wallaby run
Come
around.
back time.
Yeah.
Let's go out and watch the old QC.
There'll be a few. Carmichael Hunt's playing.
And then after that, the Masters are playing. Victoria versus South Australia are playing. The Masters. I might
Might be a
take my
tough
boots
sell.
out.
Yeah.
I might have a run around. See where the Spacequake Sports will keep the camera running. So at least I've got one video of me playing. I stopped playing before they started filming it. No, I'm getting a big fat no sign from.
It'd be good to see you, Mike. You should just mic up.
Producer is a big fat no. I don't think I've seen a bigger no from that. And then on the Sunday, we will have. These teams will go again. I can't remember who they are. You've got the list. We'll have a look at the list and find out where the next games are.
I would have heard.
I don't know whether they're going to move him. I certainly wouldn't be moving him.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
He was definitely instantly in shock.
oh yeah.
So players are doing everything they can to keep warm. Right. So Sunday.
Yeah.
At Baylor Reserve, which is Southern Suburbs, 11 o'clock in the morning. South Australia are taking on Vic Country. 12:30, Tasmania will be taking on Northern Territory. They will be on Rugby Union South Australia Facebook, powered by Spacequake Sports, obviously. And then on Monday, if you can find a day off, 11 o'clock in the morning, South Australia will be taking on Northern Territory. That, you will be honest, is probably going to be the marquee game, that one.
Yeah, very much so. I think looking at the last game in this game, I think Northern Territory Black Falcons will be a big one.
And then at 12:30, Tasmania will take on a President's 15. I don't know whether that's a South Australian one. I don't know who that one is. That should be fun to watch.
That will be an interesting game.
So it looks like they've got him pretty stable. I'm going to strap him to the board and take him off. The ambulance will be dispatched. Would Flinders be closer to here?
Yeah, most probably, yeah.
Might be Flinders. It doesn't matter, we've got a number of world-class hospitals in South Australia. It's such a big problem, isn't it? It's such a major issue with community rugby, and you know, even when you step up to this rep rugby, that's the big injuries are the ones we want to stay away from. We talked in the first game about how the South Australian boys will feel it tomorrow morning. At least they get the day off tomorrow. All the teams get the day off tomorrow.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few sore bodies, and obviously that's what you get with playing rugby, especially at a higher level. But you know, seeing injuries like that, that's something you don't want to see, and it's really unfortunate.
No, it is unfortunate, and it's definitely a competition ender for him. How long he'd be out for, but
Yeah.
I mean, if that lower leg is not going where it should be, hopefully it's a clean tib fib break, and it'll find its way back to normal quite quickly. Could find himself playing again before you do. After your knee recon.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
That's a long, hard road back to rugby after a knee recon.
Oh, very much so. I think almost more so mentally than physically, with any sort of season-ending injury or long-term injury.
You won't really know until you put it under 100%.
Exactly.
You test it 100%. So we are back and running, and Northern Territory will have a scrum on the Victoria 10-metre line. Kind of took the wind out of everybody's sails, that injury break.
Use it.
So they're going to come to the blind side, to the near side, penalty.
7.
Do a bit of a shepherd there from 7.
Taking him out, mate. You can't do it.
So the captain of Victoria, the number 6, I assume he's the captain. He's the one who's done most of the talking to the referee, but it's like little skill error hasn't made its way in. Mosquitoes have got to come a long, long way, but they could get there. Out to the 10-metre line, almost halfway before a tackle gets made, and that is Sabele, who is absolutely rumbled from the halfway line towards the 22. Now the Mozzies are going again. They have numbers to burn on the near side if they can get it out quickly. Oh, penalty. He survived the clean out.
He's on that. Tackle assist. Yep.
That is a ballet over there on that far side, who won the grand final with Brighton not too long ago, and just goes to show, and again they will have missed it. Now they're going to look to this near side. Steps back inside, runs out the first tackle. Sees parted someone, he just lost it forward. Very nearly another gap for him to go through.
Yeah.
So our clock is at 62 minutes, but no idea how long is left. I don't know how long they were going to...
Yeah, it's a tough one with a long injury break.
Yeah, I think they were sort of thinking that they were going to go on to a running clock in the second half. I think they did talk about it, but that long injury break, they will have stopped it at some point. Where we're up to, we're not sure, so there'll be a fair amount of injury time.
Plenty of time to get to the wool shed. Lockout laws.
Just got to be in before 3.
Yep.
Victoria Country will go, and that is a massive mistake. He just took his eyes off Spencer before he had it. All the teams have got a day off tomorrow. All they have to do is turn up to South and watch the NRC games.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, where you footage, yeah.
So we've got some changes at half time. Tani, Jai, Todd, Reese and Abele have all come on. So what's that, 5 changes?
Crouch.
So a split.
Bind.
2-on-2 on this near side. 4-on-4 on the far side. Again, it's nice and solid. They will come off. Oh, he just slipped his way through. And he will go over, ducked underneath. And the Northern Territory will push out again. 41 points to 7. In what has been a very, very impressive display of rugby union, Alex.
Yeah, good attack there, good platform from the scrum. 8-9. And then just some, individual brilliance there to beat 3 defenders.
Individual brilliance is probably the right word for that. He looked dead to all rights and then just popped out the other side.
What was that for? Just it was midfield here. We went with blind, and our flanker got penalised.
Yeah, 7. So he took out a defender.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and now you are sure.
Yeah. Mate, just watch the
It's
replay
going-
of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's going a fair way back as well. Well, that penalty you gave against us 3 weeks ago, just quite like to know what that was for.
I think sometimes you just like talking to the ref about anything.
Yeah, you know, I don't think he's had much chance to talk to him, has he? It's always nice to have a chat with the referee. I found them to be very nice people, most of the time. So, Victoria Country will kick off. Good finish as well. Do like a good finish. The Northern Territory look ready to go again. Well, that's going to sneak its way. Doesn't quite make it.
Not 10. Scrum.
Scrum bang in midfield. See whether they got anything. They're starting to... Somebody took the words out of my mouth. I couldn't say it, but Semaika Sala is taking the words out of my mouth. And I possibly couldn't say that. So now it looks like they're going to stack to that far side, or no, they've kind of split again.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Again, very solid from the Northern Territory.
Use. Wait.
Far side, kick goes in. Will it sit? Oh, Belly is on the charge. Couldn't keep hold of him though. Does well to wriggle out of it, but ends up in touch.
Yeah, got it, mate. Yeah, your ball.
So Northern Territory line out inside the 22. We've seen everything from them. Do they have a driving maul?
Interesting. They haven't really need to use it. They're getting enough go forward from their quick ball from the backs, but it'd be interesting to see here on the 22. If you're going to use it now.
Ooh, very nearly we came down. It looks like they're trying to set up for it, but Victoria did well enough. Kind of rolled off the back of it. But again, they are starting to edge ever closer to that Victorian Country line.
3, move. Roll out 7.
Almost a secondary driving maul, and then a little sniff of the goal line. Didn't quite get there. Again, they will go. Numbers are starting to show on this side as they go again.
Lost.
Good defence from the Victorians.
Good defence, yeah, really good defence.
And they
Didn't
seem
give up.
happy with it. But, and that's been the theme of tonight, every time you say, well done to the Victorians, but they now have to win this scrum in a very dangerous position for them, and the Northern Territory have been very strong.
Very much so, and if you're in this territory, you got to really clear the line. You got to be able to kick, and if you're not getting the distance that you need, NT are going to make you pay.
I've just had a look at that back three for the Northern Territory, and I don't fancy my chances. You've got to make touch or run it. So it is going to go back to the elusive fullback. And that's one knocked on. Oh, he said he gathered it.
Sorry, guys.
Nope. I don't know where he got a call from, but oh, it was close.
Good passage of play there.
It may even have got a signal from the Rugby AU guys under the Foxtel Touch Sevens tent. Officials everywhere over there.
Just one just shove early. Yeah.
It's always the issue, isn't it? If you're on the back foot in the scrum, the temptation to try and get the upper hand early and just a little bit of an early shove and doing everything you can in your prop playbook, but that's much, much better from Victoria. First time we saw him start a move and he's just put it down. He's done well to gather it. Oh.
That was forward. We'll go the knock on first.
Knock on then forward, and another scrum in midfield for the Northern Territory. They've had a couple of these. I'd like to see them go a little bit deeper into that playbook.
No advantage for the knock.
You know, as a team, you usually have a few midfield plays, but if you've had as many midfield scrums as Northern Territory, your playbook could be running out for things to do.
Seconds. 1, 2. Crouch. Down.
Not the world's tallest halfback. We're just the world's shortest referee. He's tall, isn't he?
Hold up, guys.
Who was the, was it? Yus van der Westhuizen was 6'3",
Yeah,
wasn't
he
he?
was. Yeah. I mean, a few tall halfbacks. You know, can't really pigeonhole the short guys as halfbacks anymore. You know,
No, it's the way that rugby players look has changed now, isn't it? Because certainly in the olden days, you would never have expected someone who looks like a ballet to play on the wing.
No. Yeah.
The Northern Territory will go again. Big blind side for them to work with if they want it. They again have decided to go away from the camera. Short ball, flat ball. Good challenge, but they got over the gain line.
No, play advantage.
Another penalty advantage and another big contest in the middle.
Playing advantage.
Interesting look. They have got the advantage, so they can mess around with it a little bit, but just got a little bit sloppy from the Northern Territory, and probably the worst we've seen from them through the whole game.
Yeah, 10 minutes to go. Surely the boys are getting pretty tired out there. Victoria looked pretty tired, and Northern Territory now, so those handling errors are going to start to sneak in.
Well, they'll take the opportunity and drive Victoria back to their own line.
Get me up. Get me up. Go on here, boys. Get me up. We're walking in, boys.
The Melbourne captain, the Victorian captain, has done everything he can to rally his troops. They just they haven't been able to settle. We've seen them have really one starter move, and that went to ground. The Northern Territory team has dictated the pace and dictated the play for, like we said, over 70 minutes now.
They've been in control of this game from the very beginning, so it's been really tough for Melbourne to get in there. But yeah, the captain's done really well to put his hand up and try and get the guys to follow him, but it's been tough with Northern Territory being so dominant.
So inside ball, shakes out of the tackle and will get going forward again. I think that's Murphy, who's been immense from number 8. Not many options to the left, so they decide to come this way there. They do have numbers, and they will look out this side. Little in and out, steps inside. Tackle is made. Numbers starting to line up, and again, they've got numbers left if they can get it out quickly. Good counter ruck from Victoria, though, has managed to slow it down and slow it down legally. And the penalty. It's been a couple of times when they've had the numbers, they've had the overlap, and they just haven't been able to get the quick recycle.
Good counter ruck there from Victoria. You know, they're in a position now where they really could have packed up shop and looked forward to a day off, but they're doing really well to get back.
Oh, and another one that might not make it, and it doesn't make it. Into midfield, into a ballet. Will he look to pass, or will he look to put his head down? I think he's going to answer us. Great tackle in midfield. If he got a head of steam up, there would have been a problem, and they've turned it over. Here a call of lost from the Northern Territory, so we go back to that structure and how they're playing. 73 minutes into the game, and the comms are still there. And a kick back to the fullback. That time he does gather it. And go again across over to that far side. Watson just straightens and looks for a hole, can't find one. Oh, he's not going to get away with that, surely. Oh, he does get away with that. Oh, scrub down.
Scrum. Accidental, yeah. Scrum.
Scrum, boys. Scrum, boys. It's scrum. Parksy, keep our shape, brother. Keep our shape, brother.
The number 22 is Reese at the fullback, and showing how elusive he is.
Another midfield scrum.
This one's a Victorian one though, so see what they've got in their bag. They've split.
Sustained. Set. Home country. And replace. Get it out. Get it out.
Northern Territory walking around and walking to where they want to deal with the defenders. Now the Victorians starting to get a roll on. Good yardage. Big step inside. Just enough with the clean up. And the big collision.
Advantage offside.
And the advantage. It's the first real piece of continuity we've seen from the men from Victoria. 75 minutes in, the Northern Territory is still trying to make tackles behind the gain line.
Offside. No advantage. No advantage. We'll just see what these guys do, mate.
Captain asking for a minute for an offside. That's some smart captaincy, especially if he gets away with it.
Yeah, mate, what's up?
The runner from the first ruck.
Yeah.
He got straight up. The ball went over behind him, and he stood straight there.
Righto, yep.
Like if you want to talk to the referee, at least have some semblance of a point.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Well,
I don't actually know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
It's an extra ball on here, guys.
Take your time. Maybe write it down for him or something. To a Victoria lineup, you would think that they would have a driving maul. I know, they do get it going. Can they get it that far? Northern Territory have defended it well. The Northern Territory have defended it very well. May have turned it over, have turned it over. Acres of space out here. How's the bounce going to be? Oh, it's almost gone backwards. Well, the Victorian winger almost did well. Now they can come away. Abele will step. Now he will put the foot down. Steps again. Tries to find a gap. Does find a gap. Abele steps out of some. Runs through one. Looks for his support. Gets his support. And over they will go. And Whitty, the number 3, will score. That is about as destructive a run you will see by a rugby player. Ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye on that young man. He will, I have heard, be playing in the white and red of St George Illawarra at some point in the future.
Oh wow, yeah, very much, yeah. Ooh.
That's time, mate. That's full time. Yeah.
So that will be that. That's one way to put an exclamation point on a game of rugby.
Not much you can really say about that. I just watched it in awe.
He stepped around people, he ran away from people, he ran through people. All it was missing was the finish. So the kick will go over. And the Northern Territory will be victorious, 48 points to 7. That is a fair old marker that's been put down from the men from up north.
Oh, very much so. I think you're all the teams down here this weekend. I think they've set the bar of where you need to be at, and they weren't perfect in any respect either. So, yeah, they can either go up or they could go down. So it'll be interesting to see how the other sides approach the games against Northern Territory and how you bounce back if you're Tasmania or if you're Vic Country.
So our thoughts are with the young man from Victoria who, rumour has it, has snapped the leg. He's in the ambulance as we speak. He'll get looked after tonight, and we hope to see him around. I'm sure we'll see him around at the weekend, hobbling around. And we'll try and have a chat with him at some point, see how he's going. Ladies and gentlemen, from a really quite lovely evening at CME Sports Lady Rugby Field down at Brighton. Alex, your final thoughts on the night's rugby?
Oh, just a great night of rugby. I think it's great to have this back down in South Australia, and I hope everyone enjoyed watching it.
Thanks, gentlemen.
And a quarter of what will be an absolutely outstanding weekend of rugby is in the books. Ladies and gentlemen, we will speak to you next on Sunday, but make sure you tune in to Rugby AU tomorrow for the, Foxtel streaming tomorrow for the NRC. We would love to, and if you are in South Australia, come down, come and watch it. It will be the best rugby there is around at that time. Ladies and gentlemen, at the start of the weekend and the end of the night, from me, Dave Webb, and everyone at Spacequake Sports and Rugby Union South Australia, good night.